Welcome back for the remaining moments on this edition of Up Next with Sir James, former Prime Minister and the founder of the New Democratic Party. Sir James, this program is really rushing along. But on the issue of cocoa, you said you never handed anything to the Prime Minister.
Let us go on and let me give you the documents. After the gentleman indicated to me that they're studying it, I got a subsequent email in September saying that they want to fix the date when they will come. They'll be sending out people on the spot. Remember, I met them in Beckwith, no contact with St. Vincent. In the meantime, I had made a statement, we want private sector involvement in this project on the Ross Summit. They turned up, the president, Ruth Maloney, on the Sunday night before election. I'm already down in Beckwith doing my thing, you know. So I get Louise to meet the lady and Lenny Daisley, Louise and Lenny Daisy and Ronald Providence, to meet them and take them to Young Island. Louise gave them her car because they had no other proper means of transport among the couple. And she took Providence's car to work with Leacock in central Kingstown, because she had worked with Leacock in the referendum as a lawyer. So she was again critical dealing with the matter there. But she gave her car for the president to go and see St. Vincent. They went around St. Vincent to Leeward and the Windward side. And then I came up the Tuesday night after the election, after we have lost. And I met with her for a wrap-up meeting. She was then very skeptical about St. Vincent, hilly country. But I told her about our performance in bananas and that I made the comparison that cocoa is a far less perishable product, better shelf life, and easier to handle than bananas. If we can do bananas, we can do. I said, don't worry about the hills and our farmers. Our farmers know how to work and they're ready and we have the beautiful soil. She said, okay. So she was skeptical then. And she's skeptical.
And that skepticism had nothing to do with the fact that NDP had lost the election?
No, skeptical about the project. Says then she said, we have to do a feasibility study. So while people are saying I get 10%, is the time that the people are saying they want to do a feasibility study. And eventually, they made contact with Louise for the feasibility study. Now, first of all, how can you start an agricultural project in a country like ours without getting permission of the government to bring in the plant and without getting the cooperation of government with regard to other input? Are you going to set up a project where farmers have to pay, or the purchasers have to pay VAT on the cocoa beans, etc.? A feasibility study has to be done in terms of the soil, and you have to decide what variety you want to grow in St. Vincent, what clone, what specific clone you want for St. Vincent. Do you want quality? Do you want quantity? How are you going to deal with pests and diseases? Cocoa has 3 diseases: swollen shoot, black pod, and Monalia. You need the technical capability to deal with all of those things, and all those things cost money. And I wanted this project, and the people agreed with me. They wanted it as a private sector project. Not a government project, a private sector project with the farmers. So Sultan Louise got this thing, email from them. And they said when they were coming, on our priorities is to have a meeting with the Prime Minister, Minister of Agriculture, to explain the Amajaro project to him and to get the point of view of him and the Minister of Agriculture. Louise emailed them back and said, do you want the Prime Minister and the Minister of Agriculture? Or they emailed back Tuesday, March 29th to say yes, they would like to meet with both. But they also went on to say in the emails to Louise that they would like to retain the services of Ronald Providence. They had met both Daisley, Ronald Providence, you know. They requested to meet with Daisley. They wanted, not Daisley, Ronald Providence, the grandson of Teacher Providence, right? Who took me to see his farm up beyond the Cumberland River. Now, so when they're saying that we leave out Daisley, the people, Daisley had met the people, but they did not request the services. At the end of the meeting with the Prime Minister, Louise arranged for Daisley to meet with Armajaro, and Daisley was with Armajaro during the visit. Daisley confirmed to me and confirmed in the final meeting with Armajaro that he had asked Arnhem if he would like to meet with the consultant from Armajaro. And Daisley reported to me first, and then he reported to the Armajaro gentleman. I will not meet with them. As a result of that statement by Daisley, I said, listen, we must put on record in Louise's office. We had a meeting there of Louise, the consultant, myself, and Daisley. And based on the information Daisley gave us, we agreed we should send an invitation right away to Arnhem, and he was on leave, so we sent it to him, his deputy. Friday, we sent email to both of them, because the gentleman was cutting short his visit of 4 weeks, and he had done 2 weeks. He felt he had enough information. And neither of them agreed to meet with Armajaro.
But some people are saying that was too late, that you should have briefed the party before.
Briefed the party before? Listen, Jerry, have you read the NDP manifesto?
I've been through it.
You've been through it. You should look at the NDP manifesto and look at the situation on agriculture. Agriculture and fisheries, pages 20, 21, and 22. On agriculture and fisheries in the NDP manifesto that we just had, not a word about cocoa. Cocoa is only mentioned in a little section in front here, talking about beast industries and diversification of agriculture within the framework of the kinder and gentler society, and what it says here, spiritual and redemption chart. If they want to talk to me, I am available, I'm ready to talk to anybody.
But the feeling is that you should have come to the party and say, listen, I'm going to take this to the Prime Minister, I'm going to tell the Prime Minister about it. That is what is being said on here. That is what is being said.
Listen, I was not dealing with it at this time. My daughter was, and she's available. Louise emailed Eustace also and told him that she had information she'd like to share with him and got no reply. But Louise was on good relations with them because Louise wrote on the environmental section for the manifesto for them. I had nothing to do with this manifesto. When I offered to when I told them that I won elections with a 10-page or 12-page manifesto, I brushed that aside, and Cruikshank said to her, Sir James can't come here and tell us anything what to do.
Sir James, it sounds as if there's some rift within the party. This is a party you founded, this is a party that you've guided. It's the longest lasting party in the country. Is the party fractured at this point in time?
My dear Jerry, what we have to understand is first and foremost is that we lost the election. Why did we lose? We need to analyze that. And we need to decide how to go forward. I was there with them in the first demonstration, but I did not continue. Because as I said in the election, I believe in winning the election on election day, not in the court. I don't trust the court to give you victory. I have been in government. I've been around now since 1966, and I have faced 4 times a one-seat majority. How do you break up a government with a one-seat majority. In 1966, we broke up the one. I was in Labour Party. We broke up the one-seat majority by bribing Sam Slater with $50,000.
Let's down to that.
In 1972 and 74, the one-seat majority that I had with Joshua and the PPP, that broke up because P.H. Vera bought out Mammy and Papi for $75,000. Denny is alive and he can corroborate this. And other Vincentians know about that story. Red John and his son were by Joshua's house seeing him count the money. Money. The road, then the next one, that was in 74. Then 98, money again played a game. And now.
Money played a game how in 98?
98, it played a game in financing the roadblock revolution.
Okay.
I'm not going into any details, Jerry, who the captain pulled the string. But I knew what was going on, and I preferred peace and let the people choose. Let democracy prevail. In this Cocoa Project, I want to make sure that the farmers benefit, we have pride in the country, that democracy survives. But what I will state to the NDP, if they want to have any new direction from me, where they should concentrate is on the voters list. Now that we are doing a census, we should tie in the census with revision of the voters list. We can't have a situation where a census will come out. We need to make sure that people only vote in an area if that is where they have their bed. You shouldn't be living in New York and coming home for a few hours and vote down here. With all due respect to the diaspora and so on, we have to be very careful. Elections were won in St. Kitts, in Dominica, St. Vincent, with the air war of bringing in people. We should tie in now, concentrate on the registration of the voters alongside that.
But census day is June next month. But right now, there's a strong call for people to replace Mr. Adam Eustace as the leader of the opposition.
Well, I hear all kinds of things too. They say that I ain't talking to him too because I treated him like a little black boy.
Like a little?
A little black boy. That has come to me, which is sad. He was no black boy when I made him Prime Minister. He was no little black boy when I found him a constituency and transferred Duggan up there. He was no little black boy when I made sure he was a permanent secretary in his youth. He was no little black boy when I put him in charge of the NIS or in charge of WIBDCO. I went to London and I went to a meeting and I met Van Geest, and when I saw that Van Geest's son that had taken over the company was no longer interested in us, I said, it's time for us to buy over this thing. And I set about to set up the structures, first with Carlyle Duggan and then with John Compton, to get WIBDCO going. And I brought back Eustace to come back to St. Vincent as fiscal advisor, etc., and all of that kind of thing. I did a lot for Eustace. I made him Prime Minister. I gave him something that he will carry to his grave when his funeral is on. It won't be the leader of the opposition going down Back Street. It will be another former Prime Minister. I desperately wanted to make sure that my party, that I was not the only Prime Minister of our party. Our party has a lot of talent.
Question. Do you think that do you regret making him Prime Minister? The process then, some people said was not democratic.
He said so.
Eustace has changed
he said
that.
so.
How do you feel? Have you made a mistake?
Listen, I look over all of that. And I mean, I think what is important as we look forward, I thank Arnhem and others for what they did for the park. I said so publicly and Victoria Park. But we got to listen to the voice of the people. The people are speaking loudly and clearly that NDP informing government 1, 2, 3 times. Listen to the voice of the people. A leader must hear, listen, and he must examine his own soul and come to conclusions. He must understand that. Let me put it this way. Well, first of all, let me, just before I come to that, the NDP has got a lot of talent. We got to try and embrace that talent. Don't exclude it. I do not subscribe to this philosophy that there's no alternative. Never did. Oscar Wilde had a beautiful saying that the cemetery is full of indispensable people. You know? And there's another beautiful line in the Bible that we got to watch. It says, one generation cometh, one generation goeth, the earth also abideth.
Yep.
The NDP will be there, ULP will be there, St. Vincent will be there. We will pass on.
If you were in Mr. Yusuf's position right now, as embattled as he seems to be, what would you have done?
Listen, Jerry, when I lost the election in 1979, I resigned.
You did what?
I resigned as leader of the party in 1979. When the Union Island uprising and I was not in Parliament, I resigned. I turned over the party to Emily Robinson and Victor Coffey and tell them I gone back to Beckwith. They say, well, hold on. Because Calder was not taking the responsibilities of the party. And he had appointed his own senators and so on outside the party. And that is how it was. So I resigned. I'm not saying anything. I will say, you know, that I do not think Arnhem should rush it, but he must recognize, and the party must recognize, that he is now a senior citizen. He is already 66, he will be 67 this year. I did not want minister at 70, and I recommend the same course to him.
You just said it, that the party will remain. So you have faith in the fact.
I love the party,
that the party will
and I love democracy. And you know, let me come back to Dr. Gonsalves, Ralph Gunn. I think we respect each other. Okay? And I am not shocked that Ralph wants the Cocoa Project, because don't forget what he did down in Canawan and in Musty. He didn't want those tourism projects. He did all kind of roadblock and everything, but right after he won the election, he was ready to go to Canawan, and he's sweeter in Canawan with the developers than I ever was. Right? So he's a practical person. And I won 4 terms plus 1. I know that Ralph is aiming to get 4 terms. But when he makes 4, I want to remind him I did 5. And then when he does the 4, I want to remind him that I did 35 years in Parliament. I hope he can make that. But I have to say, they call me Nancy, but I congratulate Ralph on doing something that I could never have dreamt of doing.
What is that?
Take a helicopter and land on a piece of ground in Argyle and convince Vincentian that he has landed on an international airport. Now that I respect. I couldn't do that.
So James, we have to continue this another time on the airport project. But I want to thank you very much. And I hope this has helped to clear a few things up.
All right, Jerry.
This has been this week's edition of Up Next. Our guest has been Sir James Mitchell, former Prime Minister and the founder of the New Democratic Party. I'm Jerry George. Whatever you do this week, be outstanding. So long.